So I did grow up in Tulsa, grew up Catholic, graduated Edison in 1977, off to OU, got out of college, I was a landman, got married, worked for a good company in Oklahoma City, oil and gas company in Oklahoma City. 1986, oil started declining in price, which is not good. After a couple rounds of layoffs, I get laid off. And that was a bummer. About 3 or 4 weeks later, I'm driving to Tulsa for an interview, and I notice street signs start looking kind of fuzzy, blurry. So I'm thinking, I need new contacts, I need to clean my contacts, whatever. For each day for about 10 days, I slowly just lost my sight. It just started getting dimmer. And I'm going to the doctor, and they're checking out this and checking out that and doing all these tests. So that was a new definition of bummer when I realized, okay, this is probably not good. Now, through these tests, MRI, spinal tap, everything, everything looked normal. So the doctors were saying, you know, it's probably temporary because everything does look normal on these tests. So we think in a couple months, you know, things will come back. This is temporary. This probably was stress probably caused this. You just lost your job. So I'm thinking, well, that sounds pretty crazy that something like that physically could happen over a stressful situation. Doctors, well, we've seen this kind of thing before, battlefield situations, it does happen. Okay. So they tell me go home and relax. Go home and relax? Okay. Okay, so we did that, and Pat was very supportive, and we were pretty good, actually, thinking temporary. Okay, setback. After a couple months of this, my sisters bought me a set of the New Testament on cassette tapes. I had really never read the Bible. Don't even remember opening the Bible growing up. Wasn't a bad person, just never thought much about the Bible. About the same time, Pat came home from a teacher's conference, and she said, we heard this great motivational speaker named Zig Ziglar. And he was really good and positive thinking, and I really think you should listen to a couple tapes. Oh, here, I bought you a couple tapes. Which were excellent. So, and I was kind of upbeat right now. Again, thinking this was temporary. So I'm listening to New Testament tapes for an hour or so a day. I got my motivational tapes, hour or so a day. So after 3 months, the doctor said, you know, we got some dead tissue here. Your optic nerves, the inflammation has gone down. It's left dead tissue. This is a permanent damage situation. And I remember saying, well, okay, what can we do now? Transplant, rejuvenation, what can we do? I was a healthy guy. I'd never had any vision problems, had any type of nerve problems. And they said, well, there's really nothing we can do with this type of nerve tissue. This type of nerve tissue is similar to spinal cord nerve tissue. When they start having success with that, reattaching or rejuvenating, then maybe we'll have success with optic nerve tissue. So sure, it was devastating, but one thing I knew was the only way to get through is with God, that God was going to be with me if I allowed Him to be. Other blind people had done whatever they had done, so if they could do it, why couldn't I do it? And it was a choice. I could choose to be positive, choose to find a way to deal with it. It was a challenge, and it was always going to be a challenge. I knew that. I recognized that. That wasn't going to go away. So again, it came down to the choice. Okay, I'm going to choose to make something happen here. Don't know what the future has in store. Really doesn't matter. I'm going to do what I got to do to be a successful and productive person. So I went through some rehab to get some independent living skills. And then I wasn't a big cane guy, but I liked the idea of a guide dog. Just sounded like a cool thing to do. So I signed up, went to guide dog school, which was an adventure, of course, but it was very good, very impressive. No, these dogs don't read street signs and walk signals. They wait for me to tell them to go forward with my parallel traffic. And you do need to have the right mindset. I mean, you don't need to go up to a busy intersection with the mindset of, man, it'd be awesome if I survived this street crossing. That's not quite trusting your captain there. So, which is all part of the training, and it's not for everybody, but the school really is impressive, and the dogs do what they do because they're professional, the people that are training them are professional, and you just need to go with it if that's what you choose to do. So that was all good. So about 8, 9, 10 months after I originally lost my sight, a friend of ours wanted to introduce me to a guy who knew my wife's family from Henrietta, knew of me, knew the situation. We got together for dinner. He was an oil and gas guy in Tulsa, small company. Ted, I like your attitude, I like your background. I want to offer you a job. So that's a game changer. That was an opportunity to prove to be successful, to prove to be productive in a different way. And I probably have a different gauge of success, but productivity and success was something that I strive for. I didn't want to be a good landman as a blind guy. I want to be a good landman. And that's just kind of what I wanted to do. I wanted to be normal, as normal as I could be. So when I would be with friends, we wanted to go for a run. Seemed like a okay idea to go for a run, but we kind of figured that out, hold a short leather or tether and good stress reliever, good exercise. So I started doing things to enjoy life, to try to lead a normal life. Again, recognizing challenges and difficulties, but knowing that God wanted me to succeed, that He would be with me, just like He's promised everyone, I'll be with you. And I came across a Bible verse maybe a year or so into it that just kind of stuck. It just kind of was simple, it made sense to me. And it's Romans 5, 1 through 5, and I'll paraphrase. Basically it says there's going to be sufferings and afflictions. But those sufferings create endurance and perseverance. And with perseverance, you will create character. And with character, you'll always have hope. And it just made sense. Okay, so I've got a mountain here, like a lot of people. And I've got God who I feel is a fan of mine. He wants me to be successful. And we're going to be a team. I knew going into this thing I couldn't do it without Him. That with Him, why not? I don't want to make it sound overly simple, but it's really not that much more complicated than that. If we, again, have that attitude and have been, we've kind of fueled our tank with some positive thoughts, and maybe since I'm Italian, I'm stubborn. I don't know, but it's something that just you kind of got to keep the wheels turning. So one thing led to another, and we grew a family. The career grew. There were situations along the way that maybe it was luck, I don't really know, but just things just fell in place. And again, I realized that people might look at me differently. It's kind of hard to blend with an 80-pound dog walking through downtown, but that was my normal. And that was, what I wanted to do to be productive and be successful. So last year, I'm sitting down with a guy, and he just said, Ted, you got a great story. You need to get that story out there. So I started sitting down. He wanted me to write this book. So I said, well, I can try that. It's a crazy idea, kind of overwhelming, but why not try? So I'm writing the book, putting my story on paper. And what kept coming to me was lots of people have challenges and difficulties and setbacks. Sure, some seem bigger than others, but you know what? If it's a challenge for you, it's a big deal to you. And people get through these things, and hopefully they do it in a type of way that is positive, that people want to be around them, learn from them, maybe be inspired, maybe motivated, I don't know, but prove to themselves that they can get through these challenges and get over these mountains. So, with my story getting put on paper, don't we all have a story? Our story is where we are today, why we are where we are today. Part of my story I'm probably not real proud of, probably the case with most people, doesn't matter. It's where we are today and why. Can we improve? Sure. Have we been productive, successful? Hopefully. If we haven't, can we change that? Absolutely. Our story continues, right? Tomorrow's a new day. Start a new chapter. So, really, when people will say, I couldn't do it, I don't say how you do it, I probably said the same thing the day before it happened. Maybe we don't know how we handle a setback or a physical disability, an affliction. Maybe we do it with God's help. Maybe we choose not to. Not judging those that don't. But it's probably not going to be easy. Don't we tell our kids most things worth having are not easy? We get back on the horse. That's what we tell our kids. Does it not apply to adults? Sure it does. I had a phone call about a month after I lost my sight. One of my best friends, I grew up with this guy, best man at my wedding. And he asked that exact question. Ted, aren't you kind of ticked at God? And I immediately said, no, I'm not. I don't think God does this to people. I don't think God is a puppeteer causing this type of situation, a car wreck, a cancer. I just don't think he does it. To me, he would be a monster if he did that, and I just don't think he does that. So I told Dave, I said, no, I'm not ticked at him. I need him. I can't do this without him. And, am I making it sound like it was no big deal when this first happened? It was sure was a big deal. And there were days that certainly were cloudy and you're bummed. But we had one kid at the time. I wanted to prove to him that excuses are, things happen in life, so there's no excuses. I had a pretty good excuse to sit at home and not do a whole lot, but I wanted to, I wanted to enjoy life. I wanted to be successful. I wanted my wife to be proud and my kid to be proud and for me to be a productive citizen and all that. So again, it's a choice, and sometimes do we feel like we deserve to be depressed or ticked or whatever? Yeah, maybe. Okay, but if you want to move forward, you better not spend much time doing that, in my opinion, because that can probably feed on itself, and that choice can probably produce other negative type choices. And just to flip the switch when I say choice to say, okay, no big deal, I'm moving on. Well, it's not quite that simple, but it is a choice, and we all make choices, and we all have to live with our choices. So I think you'd be surprised in my opinion, in a faithful person on what that person can accomplish and achieve, and the strength he or she can find that they don't know they have. It's in there. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but it's in there. Okay, well, thanks for listening, and thanks for having me, Brian.